Welcome to the Ku-ring-gai local panel meeting. On behalf of the panel, I first of all recognise the traditional custodians of the land, the Ku-ring-gai people, on whose land we are ostensibly meeting.
Stuart Gilder.
Join the meeting.
I don't know what that was. In line with social distancing requirements, to limit the spread of the COD virus, Ku-ring-gai local planning panel meetings may be held using conferencing technology, and today's meeting will be conducted over Zoom. I've got an important message that I have to read out. Any person speaking at a local planning panel meeting, any persons, are advised that their voice and personal information, including name and address, will be recorded as part of the meeting and made publicly available on Council's website via live stream and on-demand access, except any part of the meeting that is heard in closed session. Accordingly, you must ensure that your address to the panel is respectful, and that you use appropriate language and refrain from making any defamatory statements or discriminatory comments. Ku-ring-gai Council does not accept any liability for statements, comments or actions taken by individuals during a meeting of Ku-ring-gai local planning panel. People connecting to the meeting by conferencing technology are reminded that under the Local Government Act, the recording of meetings by a member of the public using any electronic recording device, including a mobile phone or video camera, is not permitted. Any person found recording without the permission of Council may be expelled from the meeting. Some points to note: on-demand viewing of each KLPP meeting will be available until the holding of the subsequent meeting. Recordings of KLPP meetings are copyright protected and cannot be reused or reproduced without approval of the Council. I have no record of any apologies having been received, and accordingly there needs to be no note in that respect. The panel consists of 4 persons whom I will introduce in a moment, and I will ask them to do 2 things. First of all, I will ask them to indicate who they are and what their respective professional backgrounds are in a relevant sense to being members of this panel. And I will ask each of them to indicate formally whether they have any declaration of interest to make in respect of any matters that are being dealt with at this public meeting. So moving into the panel members, first of all, I introduce myself. I go by the name of Angus Talbot, and I'm the chairman of the panel. My background is in the law. I have been a solicitor, I've been a barrister, and I've been a judge of the Land and Environment Court for 15 years. And I am a member of several other council panels in addition to the Ku-ring-gai panel. I'll now ask the other members of the panel to introduce themselves in no particular order. Perhaps I'll first of all ask Elaine Malachi to do so. Thank you, Elaine.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. I was a little light before. I'm a former councillor and mayor of Ku-ring-gai and am the elected community representative. I was a councillor for 26 years and on a variety of different planning panels, including the Joint Regional Planning Panel and this one since it began. Thank you.
Thank you, Malachi. Sandra Robinson.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Sandra Robinson. I'm a member of Ku-ring-gai and several other local planning panels. I have my own town planning consultancy and work on projects throughout Sydney. got about 30 years of experience, and I've been on Ku-ring-gai's panel since it began.
Thank you. And Mr. Greg Flynn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, my name's Gregory Flynn. I'm a registered town planner. I have over 35 years experience working as a professional planner in local government, state government and private practice. I'm also a member of a number of other local planning panels, and was a member of the Hunter Central Coast Joint Regional Planning Panel for 5 years.
And I'll just ask each of the panel members to indicate whether they have any conflicts of interest to declare. Mr. Flynn?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Nothing to declare, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing to declare, Mr. Chairman.
Right, and I declare nothing myself. Do any members of the staff involved in this meeting have anything to declare?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now, each speaker who is registered in respect of items GB3, GB4 and GB5, which are the three meeting matters before the panel, will be called upon to speak by name. They are allowed 3 minutes, bearing in mind, of course, that generally speaking, there's been submissions made already, so that you're just bringing it all together within that 3 minutes. And at the end of the 3 minutes, there will be a warning that will be audible, and you are expected to then bring it together as quickly as you can in order to ensure that everybody has a proper opportunity and that the panel members are given the appropriate time to consider. After each of the matters have been addressed by the members of the public, the panel members will adjourn into private session and will thereafter, or during that private session, make their actual decision, and the decision will be published on the council's website as soon as practical after that. So first of all, I move to matter number GB3, which relates to the property known as 8 Ray Street, Turramurra, and the first person who's listed to speak in respect of that matter is somebody who's against the proposition, and that is Alison Todd. Are you there, Alison Todd? Stunning silence.
I don't believe so.
Has an Alison Todd registered in and missing in some way through muting, or is she just not here?
No, I haven't seen her.
Haven't seen her, all right, or heard her. All right, well, we'll move on then to Rod Lemon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lemon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Your 3 minutes starts now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good afternoon, Angus Talbot and the planning panel. I hope I won't take 3 minutes. I have submitted my comments in a written report to the council in 2 reports, and I will not dwell on the subject matter of those reports because they are self-explanatory. Before making the following comments to you, I would just let you know that I'm a chartered quantity surveyor with 44 years experience, with a practice in Sydney and a former practice in London prior to 1994, when I moved to Turramurra. I live at a block of units next to this development, which is known as Harrington, or 10 to 12 Ray Street, and it's on the right side of the development number 8, proposed development. The concerns I have are not ones about development. I am in the building industry and I'm all in favour of development when it's good design and sound good planning. As a quantity surveyor, I deal with a lot of bad, poor design and poor planning throughout the world, not just Sydney. So the points I want to make are, with this development, I feel that the heritage building number 8 has a heritage listing on it. I am a little confused to understand why a heritage listing on a building like this would not include the green space which is created by the balance of the garden at the back of the building. There seems to have been a separation on the site between the building and the rest of the property. The green space at the back provides a lot of benefits to the owners and tenants and residents of 3 blocks of units that overlook the green space. This development will take away nearly all of that and create a 3 or 4-story building with an underground car park to create only 3 more units. The heritage building is divided into 2 units at the moment. My next concern is one of traffic. Ray Street is already a very dangerous road, and it suffers from people doing U-turns, people turning left at the traffic lights, big trucks doing 3-point turns at the end of Ray Street, and a lot of traffic from Coles supermarket, the chemist, and the small parade of shops that are there. The traffic management plan that's been submitted is, to my mind, wholly inadequate for the dangers of the traffic that will possibly result. My second point beyond traffic is the one of shadowing and loss of visual amenity, daylight, ventilation, and so on, to the block of units known as number 6, which is on the left of this development. And it's only a 2-story building with a tile roof. And this development is going to now be 1 complete floor above the roof, plus the roof. So it's some 10 meters taller than the apex of the roof of building number 6. I would have thought the owners of that block would be extremely concerned, and they may well have put in a submission. My last point is the architecture is not bad in the design of this building, but I believe that there are better solutions that should have been considered by the architect, and one of them might have been a solution with townhouses along the long length of the site rather than an addition of units or flats. If they were to consider townhouses as an option, then the car parking solution would not have been an excavation into the ground and rock with all sorts of implications of damage and risk and noise, but the car parking could be incorporated on the ground floor under the townhouses and match the design of the 3 other blocks. So I'm just concerned about the design overall. I think a better job could be done, and I think it's an inappropriate development on this site with the heritage building as it stands. And I know that there's been some attempt by the architect to go back and address some of these things with a resubmission, but very little has changed, and I think it needs another look, in my opinion. This is all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Lemon. I'll just check whether there are any questions from members of the panel. Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you.
Ms. Malachi?
No, thank you.
And Mr.
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Lemon, and those remarks will certainly be taken into account by the panel, let me assure you. The final speaker in relation to this matter listed is Stuart Gilder. Are you there, Mr. Gilder?
Here.
Yes.
Yeah, hello, it's Stuart Gilder speaking.
Thank you. You wish to
Basically,
address the panel? Did you hear Mr. Lemon speak?
Yes, I did hear Mr. Lemon speak.
Yes, perhaps you might like to make some observations about what he said.
Look, we did look at all options when we were looking at the building envelopes and in terms of townhouses and layouts of parking. And, you know, obviously the context of the building and the heritage item and the impact on surrounding development.
All right. I'll just see if the panel, you're here, I see you listed just to answer questions, so you don't have a prepared submission to make. I'll see if Ms. Malachi wants to ask you any questions. Do you, Elaine?
No, thank you.
And Mr. Flynn?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Ms. Robinson?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for your attendance, Mr. Gilder.
May I ask a question?
Thank you.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I've just thought of one.
All right. Okay, off you go.
Mr. Gilder, I understand you were the architect for the post office site at, police station at Pingle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How does the stacked parking work out? Is it
Sorry,
acceptable
good.
lighting?
Yeah, no problem. Everyone's using it as it's supposed to be used.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's the speakers for that item, and the panel will consider everything that's been put to it just now, as well as all of the other material when it goes into private session shortly. Moving on to the next item, which is item number GB4, relating to the proposed development at 5 to 7 Beaconsfield Parade, Linfield. The first person listed to speak is Mutri Howard. But before we do that, I just want to explain the situation that the panel is in, so that each of the individuals who speak, particularly those on behalf of the applicant, can address this issue. In that we received, or the council received, a large volume of material only last week, and there has been no opportunity for the relevant council officers. I didn't think I only had 3 minutes. For the council officers to assess that material and to provide some assistance to the panel. And the panel, of course, is not a bureaucracy itself. It's just a group of individuals who rely on the material that's provided to them and their own observations and expertise. And the panel has not been able to assess that information, so that your remarks might be flavoured by the knowledge that there is that difficulty that we're experiencing at the moment. So, Mr. Howard Mutri, first of all, if you'd like to address the panel.
Thank you. Yes, I'm the access consultant for the project, and I know one of the major issues is accessibility. When I originally reviewed the project, I was critical of the use of stairway platform lifts, but was advised that to remove those and provide other means would impact too heavily on the loss of landscaped area. However, in that package of new documents which you just mentioned, Mr. Chairman, there is a revised design which has removed those stairway platform lifts, redesigned the building somewhat to accommodate that and the landscaping, and now proposes vertical platform lifts. That I fully support. I think that the problem with stairway platform lifts is that they're not a preferred solution by people with wheelchairs, and for people who are standing, they're not particularly comfortable to use, whereas a vertical platform lift is quite suitable. So I think that what has been done in the revised design should satisfy the council's requirements with respect to that. I will just make a couple of other comments with regard to accessibility, and that is that access throughout the site is really only required for this project due to the council's DCP requiring visitability. In terms of the Disability Discrimination Act and the Access to Premises Standard, access isn't required to any of the townhouses because the DDA doesn't apply to residential buildings. And although the BCA for a Class 2 building, which this is by virtue of the basement car park, does require access, it's quite common to remove that requirement through a performance solution due to the functionality being the same as townhouses or a group of 1A buildings, which doesn't require the access. So it just should be kept in mind, it is purely the council's DCP that requires the accessibility to all the units. The platinum livable units are allowed to have access via the car park, which is achieved without using the platform lifts. There's a great path of travel from the lift serving the basement. So generally, other than just making that comment, I'm here to answer any questions which might arise to help support the applicant. Thank you.
Elaine, have you got any questions?
No, thank you. No.
Sandra Robinson?
No, thank you.
Mr. Flynn?
No, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Murtry. The town planner is listed to speak. Juliet Grant, are you there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Juliet, unfortunately, Juliet.
You're echoing all over the place. Is there something wrong with your mic? And you've gone all together now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up.
Mr. Chair, is that better if you can hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, thank you.
All right, sorry. Unfortunately, Juliet was unable to attend today, so my name is Tina Christie on behalf of Juliet from Sydney, the planning firm representing the applicant today.
Tina Christie, right?
Just so that you know, in the room today, we've got the architect, Michael Freeman, and myself will both do a small presentation. And then I also have the other experts available. If you have any questions, I've got our access consultant.
Well, the only person listed to speak is Jodie Warhope.
Yep, just getting there. Our lawyer, Jodie Warhope, and our engineer, Evan Lee. With regards to the design of the scheme...
All of those other people are not listed, including yourself. And now you've gone mute.
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Juliet was unable to attend today on behalf of her.
Well, I'm happy to accept you as representing her. I don't know about all those other people, but anyway, we'll see how we get on.
Thank you,
I might be particularly interested in speaking to Jodie Warhope, though, on the legal position that I outlined was something that needs to be addressed, other than the merits.
Thank you. We believe the design of the scheme is to provide a high-quality missing middle, medium-density development where the dwellings are to operate as self-contained, independent living dwellings. The proponent trustman has successfully delivered this form of development in partnership with AKC's design expertise in other locations across Sydney and Northern Province, such as Artarmon. We believe master design for a steep slope where the proposal steps down with the slope and responds to...
We're not getting you. We're not getting you. You're fading in and out.
All
Well,
right,
I don't know about everybody else, but
Okay.
it's a very disjointed reception we're getting.
Sorry.
Now we're whirling around the world.
Yes. All right. Can you hear me now, Mr. Chair?
That is very clear. And I'll say now to the timekeeper, because I didn't hear the bell last time, if it did go, that the time can start now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Why is
We believe the design.
Everything but this one.
Is a smarter design for a steep slope.
You're not an echo point in Katoomba, are you?
No.
We're just having a little bit of difficulties.
Is Mr. Flynn muted? Okay, try now, Mr.
Can I suggest if you have multiple systems on in your room, Tina, to maybe only have your audio on and turn the other audios off, because we're getting a loop of feedback.
Yeah, that's what we've done.
Also, each of the panel members need to do the same thing.
No, we shouldn't need to. It's at the it's at your end. I hate to say it.
It's not happening at our end.
Okay, can you hear me now, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I can hear you. That's good. If you can just maintain that level of speaking and that
Okay,
whatever you're doing, and let's get on with it.
All right. Can you hear me now, Mr. Chair?
Yes, that's it. Yes, it's
Excellent.
good.
Great. Okay. We've provided, as you said, we've provided supplementary information to the panel where we have endeavoured to improve the design in response to council specific suggestions. Unfortunately, we know that this additional information has not been reflected in the assessment report. Michael Heenan will address the design specifically with regards to the changes. And
he's not listed to speak.
As in our architect, AJ&C, is not listed?
No. Town planner and the legal person.
Okay. All right. All right. Can I request then that I finish and our architect just outline a couple of specific points? I guess where we're at is that we believe we've addressed all the reasons for refusal. We seek the panel to defer the application so that the amended information can be assessed and a supplementary report be prepared for the panel to consider subsequent electronic determination potentially. The proposal provides a scheme which steps down with the slope and allows for self-contained independent living on a complex site. It's not your standard site where you can just have your normal 1 or 2 lifts providing access to a level field. We need to step the design down. We need to follow the contours of the site, and that's why the design has been done specifically that way. We believe that the proposal satisfies the LEP standards and technically complies with all development standards. With specific regards to the reasons for refusal, the basics, we accept that there was an error in some of the area calculations in the previous ones. We have submitted a draft one which does comply with basics, and we can get that to the panel within a couple of days. With regards to stormwater, an external access pit has been provided north of Townhouse 18, and also stormwater will be disposed of via an inter-allotment drainage easement through 18 to 20 Bent Street, Linfield. So we believe that can actually be a deferred commencement condition. We believe that the issues of stormwater have been addressed. Flooding, supplementary information was provided by Richmond and Ross, which identified the site is not within a flood-affected area. The proposal provides no change to the existing stormwater system, and we don't believe that flooding is actually an issue. with regards to the construction management plan, with the supplementary information that was provided, a new one was included in that, prepared by Stronghold Engineers, and that was dated the 22nd of November 2020. Mike, Howard, you've already heard from, who addressed the accessibility. And with regards to the design, as I said, if it's okay with you, can Michael just address that now, please?
Well, I'd like to speak to Jodie Warhope first, because there are options which are different to deferring. Deferring nowadays is not regarded as good policy. The panels are under direction not to defer matters, and council similarly. This matter's been going since 2018, when the first pre-panel session was taking place. So yes, deferral is an option. It's not an option that meets with policy favour at the moment. Secondly, refusal is an option, and then you could deal with all of these matters on review. Or thirdly, we just refuse it and you can deal with it on appeal. But the panel's in a position where anything is over 180 days out from its original lodgement, it has to bring in a determination. So I would be interested in hearing from Jodie Warhope from Denton's in relation to how those options might be addressed and preferred.
Okay, I'll pass you on to Jodie then.
Hello, Chair and panel.
I think someone needs to turn the volume up.
Is that better? If I speak a bit louder, sorry about that.
Yes, that's good. Thank you.
Straight to my computer there. Chair and panel, you've put to us those processing options for the development application and the time constraints that the panel faces. We're in your hands, panel. From our perspective, as I understand it, there isn't a legislative time constraint. It's perhaps more of a processing time constraint. And from our perspective, the application in its current form can be approved with the a number of matters can be actually dealt with by condition. For example, I could take you through the matters that could be dealt with by condition.
Well, you're saying that's another option that we should consider.
That's another option, yes. Yeah. I understand you don't have any conditions before you, but certainly those
conditions can be made available. But
that's right. Those reasons
you won't have seen them.
That's right. They can be dealt with by condition, particularly things like stormwater easements, etc. But they're all and basics. They're all matters that can be dealt with by condition. And I mean, we consider we're ready to address them in any case with the amended DA package that unfortunately you haven't had the opportunity to be briefed on yet. So that would be our position. And I understand if the panel takes a different view, the applicant can then pursue its review rights, either through a review request or an appeal. I think the
review system provides a time frame for everything, which should be able to be accommodated, I would think, if that's the route we'd go down.
Yes.
Because it specifies when everything's got to happen. And you've got that opportunity within a reasonable time, and it would go to another panel after you've been able to properly inform the council officers who assist the panel, and the panel itself had an opportunity to digest. A refusal may send you just straight off to the court, which, a refusal, it gives you the other option for refusal is to go straight off to the court, which is probably not a preferred option. And as you say, the other option would be to approve it in its present form.
Yes.
With perhaps some deferred commencement conditions, which we try and glean more from imagination than anything else, I would imagine at this stage. But,
yes, we did actually ask for a set of conditions to assist that process, but I understand the council wasn't able to prepare those in the period of time. But certainly we can assist in relation to deferred commencement conditions if that's necessary or the path that the panel wants to pursue.
all right, well, I think you've been helpful and practical and recognise the options. Do you think, in discussing this matter with me on behalf of the panel, that the options have been identified? Is there another option that you would foresee?
So those options that have been identified are approval,
deferral,
approval,
and rejection.
And rejection.
With a view to appeal or review.
Or review. I think they're the only options.
Yes.
Unless you can think of another one.
All right.
I think that's all the options.
All right. Thank you for your assistance. I'll just see if any panel member wants to ask Ms. Warhope some questions. Is there any panel member who wishes to ask? Malachy, no.
Look, just to you mentioned Sandra Robinson, deferred commencement conditions. Did you think about having a go at drafting them? So, I mean, it's pretty hard for us to draft deferred commencement conditions with no technical support, really, because the officers haven't had much time.
We can. In fact, our architect, Mr. Heenan, has turned his mind to that to a certain extent. We certainly haven't prepared draft deferred commencement conditions, but we certainly could, within a space of time, if you wanted such conditions to be provided, we could provide them to the panel probably within 2 business days.
We're under some difficulty in relation to administration and directions from the Minister and so on. And you, being a pragmatist, as all lawyers are, would understand that that probably would not be an option that's acceptable. But however, what I'm telling you is we'll consider it.
Yes.
Whether or not we think the deferred commencement conditions coming in over the next few days could solve the problem.
Mr. Heenan does have something that he would like to say in relation to the deferred commencement.
All right.
Question.
He's the architect, is he?
That's right. I'll just hand you over to him.
All right, I'll give you leave to let him in because we've got a difficult situation on our hands. You're Mr. Heenan, is that what
yes, I am?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've gone. Can you go to Jodie Warhope's microphone because it worked perfectly? We're not hearing you, anything. There's nothing coming from you.
It's okay, it was muted as it was handed over. There are six issues. Accessibility, the council's happy if we replace those stair climbers with vertical lifts, which we have in the package you've got. The internal visual amenity, there's the back of townhouses numbers 4 and 8, and the council thinks there's a 26-metre long wall, but in fact that wall is, we've manipulated that substantially since we've talked to it, so that more than 1 stories is 17 metres, and more than 1 stories is only 13 metres, and we've taken chunks out of that, so that anything more than 1 story in that is essentially only 8 metres long. So it's been really manipulated, different materials cut about, and part of that is only less than 1 metre high in that. So I think the internal visual amenity is okay. We're going to be okay in flooding, stormwater and basics. And the driveway, this is a site that drops 12 metres and drops across the site as well. So a simple idea of coming down and turning right and having a single lift is just simply impossible. And the driveway we've satisfied because we have private contractors doing the who will do the garbage, and they're accepting that slope. So of the 6 items in the package we gave you, we have satisfied them all 100%. So the deferred conditions could be the package. because we have satisfied comprehensively each of those by changing each of those items.
Okay, I understand that proposition. You say we work out a deferred commencement condition that picks up the submissions that were made last week by City Plan.
That's correct, because we think it comprehensively satisfies each of those 6 issues to the letter.
Any panel member got a question in that regard?
I have a comment. There's no way I'd be settling for deferred commencement conditions without the staff having reviewed all the material. Sorry, Mr. Chair. I feel that very strongly.
We'll consider it, but it doesn't look as though you're going to vote for it.
Not without input from...
No, I understand. Robinson, anything else you wish to raise?
No, it was really just whether or not it's really responsible to just cut the technical experts within council out of it. That's pretty much what Mr. Malecki said.
Mr. Flynn, you got anything to add? You're muted. You're muted, Mr. Flynn. You are muted.
Is that right? Okay.
Oh, that's better.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say that it's really difficult to get to the determination stage and go through an assessment process. I was just wondering, I understood reading the report you advised of council's issues back in October. I just wonder why weren't those issues addressed straight away, so this actually could be sent through as a different report? Why weren't they addressed earlier?
There's been a number of conferences with council, and our understanding was we did address each of those issues one by one on the way through, and then there were amendments that the platform lift. Our advisors were saying they were perfectly acceptable, and the council said no. The council indicated that a 1 in 4 driveway was okay if we had private contractors, and then didn't accept that on the way through. The articulation of the wall, we articulated it. Now we've doubled the amount of articulation. So there was an attempt in that, and now it's 100% of what they have indicated, including the ones that are beyond what we think our technical experts think is reasonable.
That may or may not be right.
They could well not be right.
As far as the panel is concerned.
That's correct. And so we've assumed they're not right, and we've agreed with council.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think all I can say is that the panel now has given the applicant every opportunity to elucidate on what the various options might be and how we should go about it, and the panel will therefore reserve its decision until it goes into private session, and the outcome will be placed on the council's website in due course. Thank you for your assistance.
Chair, might I just ask something? I don't know whether there are any objectors who are going to talk.
No one's listed.
No? Okay.
No, you had it to yourself. Moving on then to the last item on the agenda, which is matter GB5, I'm sorry, and that relates to the proposed development at 1183 to 1185 Pacific Highway, Turramurra, and the first person that is listed to speak is Andre Mulder. I hope I got that right. Are you there, Mr. Mulder? No, Mr. Mulder?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yes.
Oh, yes, there you are. Thank you, yes. Mr. Mulder. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Basically, we had a good working relationship with council officers, and we think the outcome is a good outcome. So I'm only here to answer questions, if there are any questions with regard to this well-written report. We've been through all the conditions. We're happy with the conditions, and I'm prepared to answer any other
Well,
questions.
I'll just see what questions there are. I know there may well be some. Ms. Malachi, do you have any questions?
No, I think I've discussed them all with you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Robinson or Mr. Flynn got anything for the architect?
No, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well, thanks for the offer.
Thank you.
In other words, you endorse what the officers are recommending.
Correct.
And do I take it that Gary Chapman is in a similar vein or something else?
Miss Chair, I'm in the same vein. We support the recommendation of the council officers.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, so there's no planning matters that the individual panel members wish to raise with the planner, Gary Chapman?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The panel will, as I said earlier in relation to the other matters and again in relation to this matter, will now retire to consider its verdict, and the outcome will be published on the council website. Mr. Flynn, you look as though you're about to say something. He's gone, so he's not. The meeting's closed.